Guys, good morning. Today's morning devotion is from Matthew chapter 5 verses 21 through 48. And Jesus takes all of these things that are discussed and all of these outlines for living that have likely become the norm, and he instructs people towards greater living. And he instructs them according to the actual standard that God has set forth. And Jesus, he's not allowing people to live below the standard of God, no matter how they became accustomed to living or no matter the norms in that day. He is directly addressing the areas in which the standard or the saying that people are living according to are not aligned to the same standard of God. And Jesus takes those lesser things and replaces them with the greater things. He says, don't commit adultery and says, don't even look. He talks about their giving a certificate of divorce and instructs the people not to even divorce because of all of the adultery that is connected to divorce. He says, instead of don't break an oath, don't even make an oath. He says an eye for an eye becomes turn the other cheek. And instead of love your neighbor and hate your enemy, we are to love them both. There are all these areas in our lives and potential areas in our lives where we may have compromised over time. We may have allowed what was convenient to become our norm instead of the standard that God desired when he originally created us and allowed us to live here on this earth. We're not supposed to live according to what makes sense for us or according to what is easy for us, but according to the standard of God. So Jesus calls us out of corrupt and compromised living and into correct living. And when Jesus did this is in the Sermon on the Mount. He didn't beat around the bush. He didn't waste time. He was very direct and he was very intentional in what he was doing. He took that which was and replaced it with what should be. And in his doing this, he also wasn't rude or judgmental. He wasn't mean-spirited. He was simply instructing the people in what was right. Y'all, we have to do both. We have to be able to receive correction. We have to look at our lives and see where we need to heed the word of God, where we have compromised in our standards and where we need to replace how we're living with the standard of God. But then we also need to be able to speak truth into the lives of others and speak to the compromise and corruption that we see in the lives of other believers. And when we do this, we should not do this rudely. We should not do this judgmentally. We should not beat around the bush, but we should do this simply in a way that instructs towards higher living. Jesus came to restore, and it would be a shame for us to allow the things that should not be to continue to be after coming into this greater knowledge and awareness of what actually should be. So let's, one, reassess our lives or take an inventory to see where am I living compromised or where am I living corrupt and how can I begin living correct. But then let's also make sure we're holding one another accountable and speaking truth, not judgmentally, but in a way that simply instructs towards greater living. You guys, I hope you have a wonderful day today. Bye, y'all.